Hi everyone, I'm Divya. So I am not a founder. I have actually never even worked for a founder-led brand, but I am a retailer. I've spent my entire career on the retail side, specifically in fashion, contemporary, and luxury. So I have had the privilege of getting to find and discover and nurture some of the world's best brands and designers in a retail environment. So kind of going from D2C to wholesale sits very close to my heart, and it's obviously a really pivotal moment for brands. I'm going to hand it over to my panelists today as well. I'll start with you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and your background.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Jezienicki. I'm a Vice President of Sustainability at Grove Collaborative, which is a founder-led company, although I did not found it. So Grove, for those of you who don't know, is an primarily D2C online marketplace for sustainable home essentials. So everything from recycled paper products to dog shampoo and plastic-free packaging. And our whole big thing has been getting out of single-use plastic. My background has been in consumer goods for sustainability. I was previously at Williams-Sonoma. And before that, on the investment side, looking on the investment side into companies, kind of evaluating sustainability. So also disclaimer, there was a panel that was supposed to be more focused about sustainability. So I'm not a total expert on retail, but this will be fun.
I'm Dr. Jackson Corley, inventor, founder of Incrediwear. It's the first wearable anti-inflammatory. So just imagine everyone's taking pain medication. They're worried about opioids. They're worried about how their health is going to be. They're worried about what their skin is going to look like as they get older, to whether they're going to have diabetes or diabetic symptomatology. And I've invented the first product that's wearable that gets rid of inflammation sitting in a chair doing nothing. You sleep at night. It never stops vibrating your cells ever. So if you have problems with lymphedema, you have problems with diabetes, you have problems with fractures. We have 16 studies going right now. So it's been amazing because as a chiropractor for 22 years, I did extreme sports and I flew off a cliff mountain biking in 2008. So I have 9 herniated discs. I have no feeling in my legs. I have no feeling down my right arm. And I ski and I bike and I play tennis. And it's all because of Incrediwear. I was in a walker and a wheelchair. And so when I invented this, it was for me, nobody else. It wasn't for you guys. We're in 40 countries. If you watch the NBA finals, those are my products on the players. We are on almost every Premier League team as well. When you see LeBron or you see Steph Curry or you see these people, they have no freaking clue how the product works. And that's what's amazing. And that's probably the most gratifying thing as an inventor or a founder, is that you're doing it for yourself and you're not doing it for everyone else. And so I really, it's an exciting time for us because we're in 40 countries and we do direct to consumer, we do pharmacy, natural health, we do sports teams, sports stores. It's just really gratifying. So exciting today to be able to share some of that and how we got there, and hopefully you guys have some questions that can help you guys along as well.
Well, I'd actually love to start by talking about that journey, right? Going from a DTC brand where you control every aspect of how your customer experiences your product, and then you make the decision to go wholesale, right? And all of a sudden you're bringing in a third party who does not know your brand, who doesn't have the passion for it that Jackson does. And while their promise is to get you lots more eyeballs, you do give up things in that process. So Jackson, can you kind of talk to us about how do you think about the right partners, the right distribution strategy? Is it just the more the better, or do you really kind of focus on few and building it from there?
I think just like with your friends, you meet people in life, right away you know that they're someone you want to be with or someone you want to hang with or go party with. And I think the same thing is true. You got to do a vetting process in finding out who you want to actually have as your partners. And if they don't, you have to do the hard no. I was at Slush a few years ago, if you haven't been there, in Finland, for their entrepreneurial expo, and I listened, and the guy said, what did you learn the most? Well, hire fast and fire faster. And I think it's the same thing in the retail scene. Going direct to consumer number one is we make a lot more money, generally, and we can control the narrative. But the hardest thing that I think that has developed is how can we actually retrain? Because we're in thousands of pharmacies and health food stores and different locations. And so what we've done is, to help the situation, we've developed a computer program that allows you to be retrained. So you come in and you're a new person working in a store. You've never seen Incrediwear. I just talked to a bunch of people. Anyone here of Incrediwear? How about in this room? Nobody. And yet the superstars are wearing it. We're in thousands of locations. I just saw a guy wearing my knee sleeve as he was going into the hotel as I was walking out. It's gratifying, but you guys don't know. D2C, direct to consumer, we can actually get that message out. But how do we do that? In this scene is that, man, it's partnership, it's communication, it's the ability to actually find those. In fact, I think the universe brings that to us sometimes. Finding those partners that can take you to the next level, in this consumer, environment, which is really kind of bad, and we need to make it better.
And then Danielle, from your perspective at Grove, how do you find what a brand's other retail partners are, the decisions they've made on who to partner with? Does that affect your decision on whether or not you want to partner with that brand?
Yeah, well, also kind of speaking to that first question too, because we have a very different answer in that we have to be friends with Jeff Bezos, unfortunately. Like, Grove exists to make sustainable home essentials accessible and available to households around the country. Most of those households don't have a Whole Foods a few minutes away and so on, so they don't have necessarily that quick, easy access. So we have to be where they are. And so that's really the logic behind our retail strategies. We have to meet customers where they are. So our first retail partner was Target in 2021. And we've since rolled out to a handful of other kind of major retailers, including CVS, recently Amazon, Walmart, and then some more regional chains, Meijer, Great Eagle, and others, just to make sure that we are offering customers. Because if you think about sustainable home essentials, I think to your point, from a D2C perspective, we found those consumers, right? Like, they want super sustainable habits. They don't want to use plastic. They want refillable, concentrated products. Great. The question of finding them, paying for them, retaining them is, a separate conversation, but let's just say we found them. So the next pool of customers, and that's the huge one, right, is that's every household in the US that might not even know that they care about these things, but then they go to Target and they see our products side by side with the other categories in our brands, and that's when they hopefully start thinking about, wait a minute, why am I buying a spray cleaner that is entirely liquid versus this tiny little concentrate? But the challenge for us at that point, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but it's really tough to educate someone in that split second you have to catch their eye. And packaging designed for DTC, once you have a whole, we call it a PDP, I don't know what other companies, but you've got a whole website to explain, this is how you use it, this is how it works, here's a video. Versus you walk by it and it's a brown recycled paper box, it's hard to get people to look twice. There's a lot of considerations at retail where your message might kind of work against you in the case of sustainability, because if you think about plastic and consumption, it's bright colors, single-use plastic, all of the things we try to avoid. So upholding your values at retail becomes a really different proposition than doing it from DTC. And sorry, your second question was about brands that we work with?
So how do you think about a brand's other retail partners?
Yeah, so that's something we really struggle with too, because I mentioned Grove has, a very ambitious plastic program. So for every pound of plastic we ship to customers, we collect the same volume of ocean-bound plastic. So it's called the plastic neutral approach. And that's acknowledging we can't keep using plastic the way we do. We're going to at least mitigate our impact while we do use it. And looking ahead, we're trying to completely remove single-use plastic. On our website, great, we can do that. Once you start working with brands, like Amazon and so on, they have, sure, their climate, whatever, pledges that are, somebody played, throw darts at, a name of certifications, which is great. I'm glad that they exist, but it doesn't uphold our standard or allow us the whole way that the algorithm works and how your products are going to be ranked and shown next to sustainable brands. It's a totally separate can of worms. So we don't really have that ability, I think, to differentiate ourselves necessarily and, hold up the brand's values and find customers in the same way. So you really lose control at that point, I think. So that can be really challenging. Not to mention, it's a good thing that I don't make these decisions because I'm the sustainability person, not the head of retail expansion, but I would be we're not working with Amazon. They're why aren't they doing like circular business and like all my, things that I could literally sit here for the next 45 minutes and tell you guys how Amazon could be a wholly circular business. But these are not my decisions, thankfully. So we do partner with retailers to make sure that our products get to consumers. But I think in that case, there really can be like a pretty serious lack of alignment between the places where we have to show up, because ultimately our mission is to serve customers, not be like, super pure about only selling at co-ops and whatever. So anyway.
Got it. That's helpful. I think both of you touched on this, and I've experienced this a lot in my career as well, where you're so focused on securing the wholesale order. You get the order and you're like, amazing. That was the goal. We got these amazing, huge, massive orders from all these dream partners. But honestly, like that's literally where the work starts, because now you have to manage this new partnership. You have to manage a channel that you don't control, and making sure that your product is still upholding all the standards and adjacencies, experiences, pricing strategy in an outside channel. So can you both kind of talk about, and Jackson, I'll start with you, what are those things that you want to think about with that retailer that you really want to control, whether that's placement, adjacencies, pricing, and then what are the things that you're just kind of like, what, it's the price you pay to be in a retailer and you kind of have to give up control on?
You don't want to sell your soul, for sure. I think that's a big one. And you brought up really good points too. It's, point of sale materials. So we have 10 seconds, maybe even not even that. So you got to make sure that you're next to the right product for sure. And we're kind of different because we can be placed in a lot of different areas in a store. And so you have to think that when you're working with these partners, do we have the flexibility to actually be put in more than one location? And can you do beta tests? And so one of the biggest things that we want to try to figure out with our partners is, can we actually make an impact on their sales? Because it's all about turns. Amazon, that's a huge portion of our business. Online is a huge portion of our business. And that's giving out the message. How can we give the message out in the store without selling ourselves? It's not easy. Yes?
Selling wholesale Amazon or direct?
So we sell direct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we also sell we're wholesale, we're direct to consumer, we're direct to doctors, in our business, we're at the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins and all those. It's a different business and how you do business. And I think that's where, when we take a look at, you named a few. I've been in Walgreens. I didn't like it. I was begged to be in CVS. I turned them down. You have to decide who you're going to sleep with.
Why?
Seriously.
What were they not good terms? You didn't like the positioning, the adjacencies? What were the reasons you didn't like? Well,
number one is what is your brand? Okay, are you premium?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just stop there. Mm-hmm. If that's where you're going to be, then you want to be in X store. If you want to go in and have someone accidentally find you, then you are now selling your soul a little bit. Depends on what company it is. Of course, there's different companies that are doing different things. But to me, we have to actually look internally when we're creating a vision of where we want to go and who we want to partner with. Retail is the place we want to be. You want to be in retail because when they see you on TV or they see you on the radio or wherever, the next time they see it, they're going to go and buy. Mm-hmm. And for us, they buy one product because they have arthritis in their wrist, and they go, wow, it works so good. My knee hurts, whatever. So we want them to have a visibility so they can see all that. Point of sale material is huge. There's so many different aspects of the retail versus direct to consumer that's very, very touchy. So that's why we need to create a system where it's turnkey. You go in and you take your product in, and no matter what new person is coming in to take the person's place who just quit because they're going to go and move to wherever, they can be trained in 5 minutes or 10 minutes to know that product. If you're not retraining them, then what's going to happen is you're going to lose the sale. Yeah. And so for us, a lot of the way that we look at stores and consumers is no different than D2C, direct to consumer, because what we want to do is we want to get them the same message. How can we do that? It's not easy.
Yeah, and I think your point on positioning is such an important one. And again, it's so easy to go after the big order and just kind of want to go after the big retailers who can write those big purchase orders. But it comes down to what's your positioning. Are you a luxury product? Are you a mass product? Are you a premium product? And I always, in my own head, when I see brands, I'm like, the brand has to know that, right? You can't come to the retailer and being like, oh, well, if you want to pick me up, then I'm happy to be in your store, because right away, one, you give away all your leverage with that retailer if they know that you're kind of like, I'll take anyone. And kind of what we were talking about, I think also as a retailer, I'm always thinking about where else are you sold and does that fit with my positioning? Because if I'm a premium retailer or a luxury retailer or a mass retailer, and I see that you're in places that I don't want to be associated with as a retailer, then it's a no-go for me right away. And I think that that's something that a lot of brands get stuck on, and I've seen have happen, is they open up mass and then they want to go premium, and the premium's like, we're not interested because you're just too mass and you bring my brand down. So I think I would love to hear your perspective on.
Well, so Grove, we also make our own branded products, and those are the concentrates and, the super sustainable kind of home essential lines. We're also online a marketplace for, I think, over 150 third-party brands focused on sustainable or safe, packaging, formulation, and there's a whole kind of list of things they need to do to meet our standard. But we've told them since 2020, we need you to move away from plastic by, we've said 2025, and we'll kind of evolve as we get closer. And in the meantime, I mentioned the plastic neutral program. We charge brands back for their use of plastic. We give them basically a scorecard every quarter. Here's how much plastic we shipped from your products. Here's the SKUs. Here's, all the data you need. And we've started a working group to help them move away from plastic. So playing the other side of that, we've become a marketplace for brands who really are dedicated to that moving away from plastic. So it brings together brands who are focused on the same topic of sustainability, kind of values alignment, and gives brands a dedicated sales channel where they know that the consumers of this marketplace care about the same things that they're trying to do. And when we launched the plastic whole initiative, I was really worried that brands were going to be up in arms about, I can't believe we have to move out of plastic, and I can't believe you want us to pay you back for this thing we didn't ask you to do. And by the way, it's not very expensive. Everyone can do it. It's, about 50 cents a pound. 50 cents a kilogram, so 25 cents a pound. So very kind of doable for brands. And brands have been totally supportive. They've been like, this is great. We really wanted an edge. We're so excited that you're going to help us figure this out, and you're talking about this with your customers, because we on our own were too scared to, kind of make that change because we were worried about the consumer blowback. So I think being a marketplace that's really values aligned has, the potential to really be a point of differentiation where brands will seek you out because they see it as a, differentiated place where they can launch products and reach a demographic of customers that is aligned with what they're trying to do, and also gives them some opportunity to experiment and innovate.
Can you talk a little bit about brands that, now that we live in a world where sustainable and single-use that used to be the differentiator, right? That used to be what set yourself apart in a multi-brand environment. And as there are more and more brands that are developing and doing really amazing things in the space, can you talk about brands that have really kind of been able to stand out, and what have they done differently within a niche space?
It's an interesting question because I think the answer is really different by category. So, for example, in cosmetics, plastic is kind of part of it. I think there's refillable products, and the products that are truly refillable and reusable, I think, start to stand out. But that becomes more of a question of, efficacy and formulation and so on. So I think kind of category by category it depends. But I think what I've been most excited about is the true behavior changing products. Like, I know nobody likes shampoo bars because you think they don't work, but go try them again, because there are ones now that are really, kind of really effective, and other similar products. Like, we have detergent sheets, and I just love these products that challenge your conception of what consumer products are. Because why? Because you want clean hair, do you have to have packaging that will be in a landfill for 500 years? Why do diapers have to be, the number one item that goes to a landfill and outlast your baby's grandchildren? Like, these things don't make sense. So for me, the thing that's exciting are the consumer products that flip that paradigm and integrate sustainability really into the offering. So the the concentrated products, the packaging, like the anhydrous products, just the things that make consumers realize, like, oh, I can do something sustainable. This is actually cooler. Like, we also have hand soap sheets. For anyone with a toddler who doesn't want to wash their hands, like, try that and see if you get a kid to wash their hands. Like, they're excited about it. So things like that to me are exciting because it just challenges the norm and you realize how ridiculous our concept of what's normal is.
And then Jackson, in your case,
we have a question real quick.
Just circle back for a second. Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you have 16 studies.
Yeah.
Is your product considered a medical device?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
So it would be a little different than other products.
Yeah. So it's FDA, it's CE. Yeah. So we can make claims on anything. Yeah.
So it's actually a perfect segue. So when you have a product that is, you know, in a category, but totally disrupting, you know, it's a medical device. You're doing something different in an established category. Kind of, how do you tell that story? You started touching on it earlier. You know, you have such a short amount of time to tell it. You said you've developed like programs and ways to really kind of educate very quickly, very succinctly. Can you elaborate on some of those strategies?
Yeah, and I think that's the goal for all of us that are retailers. You know, they're trying to sell products, is we're trying to find out how we can differentiate. And really, the biggest place where we come in is we look at what's already out there, compression. And compression has been out there for a long time, and I just go, show me you can increase blood flow. Yeah, and you're going to faint the next day. And so I would really love to have a picture of someone, you know, choking, you know,
Or falling over trying to get on a pair of compression socks.
You know, yeah, it's so funny because one of the biggest things that I do is I bring a microscope and I put your finger under the microscope and I lay the product anywhere on your arm when I do medical doctors or I'll do sports teams, and it quadruples your blood flow in your fingertip. You can see it. How can we allow people to see what they can't see? And the best thing to do is to show them a before and afterwards picture. Show them something that it was and now it is. In 20 minutes, in 4 days, in a week, or whatever it is, in 30 seconds. Yeah, so when I take people and I can show them in 30 seconds it quadruples their blood flow, all of them are like, oh my God, that's amazing. Now, try it on the other finger. You know, they're going, this is not true. So, you know, it's funny because the seconds that we have are the precious reasons why we invest so much money. How much are you going to invest in the one word? Pain, anti-aging, weight loss. Didn't I just name the top 3? So even by putting that at the head of a header, or, you know, it can draw people in. But then, like you just said, the 16 studies, we also have published studies already. These are more studies going on, is that if you want to make your product amazing, why aren't you working 24 hours a day to be amazing yourself? Why aren't you putting the time in to your company, even if you're just working for them, to make this company the best company that it can be? And so having a clear, crystal clear vision of when you're going in and you can see, I'm going in and I say, oh, here's the panel. Oh, what do I want to, okay, I want to learn about this. Well, that draws you in. How can we do that in the consumer? That's why I have an amazing CMO. You know, to be able to bring that out, I can only just bring out, you know, the passion of what it does, that I'm actually walking. You know, if they could see me when I was in a wheelchair, you know, a walker, and now they see me now and I'm playing tennis for 4 hours in a day, you know, they're just going, whoa, that's pretty amazing. So I think to answer the question is, we just need to figure out whatever product that you have, is it something that's sustainable? I almost feel like everyone's doing sustainability now. So now it's across the board. What's new? You know, what can we do that's different? Maybe take the plastics and make them into clothes, which they're doing already. Or
which shed microplastics every time you wash them.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So anyway, I'm just, if anyone after this has any other questions, I love to get into this because to me, this is changing the world. Everybody needs to change the world every single day, and you need to do it one person at a time. And we need to actually figure out how we can make that advertising do the same thing within the store, be it beauty or health or whatever it is. We have to be able to differentiate ourselves.
And when you guys think about new product launches, like is it start with your most loyal customer on your DTC channel where you're really going to be able to build up some recognition and understanding and awareness of why this product is, new and different, or start with your biggest audience and go right out into your wholesale channels?
Sure. For us, I love working with our third party, the merchandising team, because they're always testing consumer behaviors of, we know our consumers care about gardening. Let's test out, all these different products. And I find that, my thinking is don't be led by your customers, but do kind of nudge them. I mean, listen to them, of course, but be willing to push them, I think, a little bit past their comfort zone, because I think that's the sweet spot of innovation. So, if we waited to hear from our customers about their sustainable habits, they would not want to change anything, right? Because everything's already so convenient. So you have to kind of push them and be like, okay, well, we found X, Y, and Z. Let's test different things. Let's put this one in an email. Try the Swedish dishcloth here. There is such a thing called a guppy friend bag, which you can put your synthetic clothes made of plastic in that will catch the microplastics, things like that. Like, who is the right customer for these kind of things? Sell them on the site, see how they do, and kind of work on like the iteration of how it's email open, all those kind of metrics. But I think it's always that balance of like testing into different categories, keeping an ear to the ground on what's new, bringing on, low inventory of these products, seeing how they do. And sometimes we have 3 fulfillment centers, so we'll test something in one region versus another, which is another way to do it kind of at low commitment.
For me, innovation comes when there's a need. So we're working with Shriners Hospital. They just called and said, hey, fractures are healing faster. Can we do a study? We look at all these, they headaches better wearing a mask that we make or whatever. But really, we have to lean really hard on, if we're coming out with a product that we want to be successful, we also want it to be something that's targeting something that's in need. Is there a need that's not being helped? And is there something out there that someone is not doing that we could actually capitalize on or actually be an additive? I would love to take somebody that has an anti-aging cream and combine it with my product to be able to go in, because now what would that potentially do? So we need to look at those things. Pain relief is easy. Other products that we're going to come out with are always driven by what's out on the market that needs to be a need that needs to be filled.
Great, thank you. I think we're at time. Any questions, guys?
We have a few minutes for questions.
Oh, perfect.
I'm curious how you can market to physicians, to direct-to-consumer, to wholesalers. Are you using a bunch of different agencies, or are you doing this all in-house? I'm in healthcare as well, so.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
So, it's funny because with my background, almost all my friends are orthopedic surgeons or, surgeons of some sort. And so I have an entire agency. We have the entire United States is covered with, I don't know what kind of healthcare you're in, but with medical reps, they go into the hospitals. Like, I'll be at Utah next week, and then the same week I'm going to be in Pennsylvania at another place speaking. I was just at the Mayo Clinic. So they bring us in. So you have to have a different set of reps that go in and do that. So if you need some, let me know. We can chat. I have the entire United States covered. And then we also have reps that are in pharmacy, reps that are in all different categories, because they don't cross. Right. They don't, and the language is different. So when I'm trying to sell into a store, a consumer, I'm trying to get you to come in because you're in pain. You're coming in because you're in pain, and you want it anti-inflammatory and maybe our product. And when you go to a pharmacy, they're trying to get something that's not a pain medication. So they're not going to do an additive. They're just going to take this. Then you go to the doctor and they say, put this on and wear it and call me in a week, and that's it. And just imagine, we have studies that show I can heal you 50% faster. You put the product on and your knee is better 50% faster. Or you have a surgery and you're healed 50% faster. Or your pain is gone because you have arthritis or whatever. So the doctor has it the easiest. All they have to do is show him how it works, and that does the trick. Yeah.
Yeah, in addition to going direct to when you go direct to wholesale, you're dealing with people like McKesson and Mercersburg and
You could be.
people like that.
If I was with Cardinal, and I stopped. It was one of those things I was selling myself, and great people, amazing people, but when you have your own crew, and I have regional managers that actually go out and train the sales teams, and if you guys could, I don't know how many people are in here have their own products. Anybody have their own products? Man, invest into yourself. And get the best of the best at marketing people, because seriously, we're visionaries. We're living out here, and our CMOs and marketing department is living in the now. So you invest into that, and then we just give you an idea. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.